For today's video, I want to discuss whether or not it is acceptable to encourage our kids to protect themselves if somebody were trying to get physical with them in school. In other words, is it okay for our kids to fight back if somebody were trying to fight them? Now, the reason for this video is because I saw this post online and it just sent me over the edge. Let me read it for you. Parents, please stop sending your kids to school with the idea that if someone hits you, you hit them back. You are part of the problem. Now, I have two problems with this post. Number one, bullying. Bullying is something that, in my opinion, every single child is going to experience at some point in their life. The extent of that bullying is going to differ from child to child. It could be physically, it could be emotionally, it could be mentally, it could be all the above. The difference with bullying in today's day and age compared to like when I was growing up is due to social media, bullying is now on a much wider, broader scale. Not only could your child be getting picked on and humiliated amongst their own peers within their own school, but because people broadcast that online, they talk about it online, they poke fun at your child online, that is now hitting a wider audience. Your child is getting bullied by people from across the world that they've never met, nor are they ever going to meet, and that's only going to further damage your child. If you are encouraging your children to not stand up and protect themselves, you are only going to be making the impact of that bullying worse. You are essentially making your child a human punching bag for anyone that wants to pick on them. And as much as your child may want to stick up and fight back, they are going to be more concerned about disappointing you as the parent than they are for their own safety. The second problem I have with this post is school fights are ruthless. If you are not allowing your kid to physically protect themselves and fight back, they are going to get seriously hurt. Fights are not the same today that they were when I was in school. School fights when I was growing up, whether it was in elementary school, middle school, even in high school, you threw some punches and you called it a day. Maybe you rolled around on the ground a little bit, maybe you threw some punches on the ground, but more times than not, if somebody got knocked to the ground, people would step in and intervene, people would pull you apart and separate you, but people never really let those fights get too crazy, even when I was in high school. Fights today in schools are absolutely insane. They very rarely take place in a one-on-one situation. It's typically 3 to 4 against 1, if not more. People are being slammed on their heads. They're being kicked and stomped when they're on the ground. And what makes it even worse is the fact that majority of these fights are recorded and then published online, which again, further increases the chances that your child is going to be bullied and picked on because now the entire world can see them getting beat up and not doing anything to even attempt to protect themselves. Now, not only am I a martial artist, I wouldn't necessarily classify myself as a fighter because I don't compete much, but I've been training in the martial arts since I was 5. I am very confident in my ability to physically protect myself. I've had my fair share of fights from elementary school all the way through college. I've been in bad fights. I've been in fights where I've been able to handle myself. I've been in fights where I've been caught off guard. Nonetheless, I was able to physically protect myself because I had the proper training to do so. And even if I didn't feel like I handled the situation properly, I was able to fix it and adjust it in training so that if I ever were to get into another physical altercation, I would be better suited for those situations. But that was all due to the fact that my parents allowed me to not only train, but they also encouraged me that if anyone were ever trying to get physical with me, that I had their full permission to protect myself, even if that means fighting back. Now, I am a new father. I have a son. Without question, my son is going to learn how to fight. There is no question, no doubt in my mind about that. Whether or not he wants to pursue fighting as a career, I will leave that decision up to him. But he will know how to fight. He will know how to physically protect himself. But he's also going to know that when it comes to protecting himself in school and just fighting in school in general, that is the absolute last resort. The best self-defense is always going to be walking away and avoiding the fight at all costs. He's going to understand, though, that that's not always going to be the case. But if he finds himself in a situation, even if he's not the one involved, if he gets a sense that things are about to go south and get physical, he's going to learn that you are to walk away and not even stand there and watch or videotape. If he's in a verbal argument, he's going to be doing everything he possibly can to de-escalate the situation. Why? Even if he knows how to fight, we don't want him to fight. We want him to be able to understand that you can walk away. Fights aren't about winning or losing. They're not about checking your ego. Nothing good ever comes out of a fight, so there's no reason to get into one. So he's going to learn to walk away, and he's going to learn how to de-escalate, period. That all being said, if push comes to shove and there are no other options out there, he has my full permission and my encouragement to fight back and to end the fight. Sometimes that might even mean throwing the first punch, which yes, you can still do in a self-defense situation. If their body language and their verbalness is telling you that, hey, things are about to get physical and you have no other choice but to get physical, throw the first punch. Don't be the one on the receiving end. Start and end the fight. In my opinion, that is self-defense. Now, there's a difference between protecting yourself and being a bully yourself. I'm not raising my kid to be a bully. I'm not raising him to go out there and pick fights or look for fights or try to show everyone that he's a tough guy. That's not what we're training him to do. We're teaching him how to physically protect himself so that when he's out in the world on his own, as a kid, a teenager, an adult, he has the confidence and the physical ability to protect himself where I don't feel the need to constantly have to worry about him. And that is what every parent should strive for in their children. Get them the proper training so that they can physically protect themselves. And you can have confidence knowing that if your child were to end up in a fight, they would know what to do. But coming out and saying that we shouldn't be encouraging kids to fight back is complete BS. It is a terrible, terrible idea. And all that's going to do is hurt your child. Emotionally, because the bullying is not going to stop, but also physically, because again, if we're telling them not to protect themselves, they're going to stand there and again, be a human punching bag. Now, I'm not even going to go into my opinion on schools and how they handle bullying or just fighting in general, because that's just another story for another day. But what I will say is this, they don't handle it well at all. And whether your child starts the fight or they are 100% in a justified self-defense situation, they're going to get in trouble with the school anyway. So they might as well protect themselves and we'll deal with the school, but I would rather have my child injury-free or at least minimal damage than having to show up to a hospital because they got beaten to a pulp. Now understand this, I am not by any means telling my kid to start a fight, nor will I stand for that. However, if they do find themselves in a physical altercation in which they had no choice but to get physical to protect themselves, they will be damn sure to make sure that they are the ones that finish the fight. Now, if that makes me part of the problem, so be it. But I want to make sure that my kid is safe. And as a parent, I would hope that you would want the same for your child. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Stay safe.